Hello guys, my name is Amal, and in this video I'm going to be explaining what makes photos work. Have you ever wondered why some photos just look good but never knew why? Well, in this video I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite photos and explaining exactly why. So let's get straight into it. So in this moody photo here, which is probably one of my favorite photos, it is quite a simple photo but also looks very good, and there is a lot of elements into why it looks good. So let me just quickly break it down. So you have the bright foggy background which creates the moody vibe, it makes it look like it's straight out of a movie or something. Like it's just very sets the tone, creates a moody vibe. So yeah, and also it gives it like a cold vibe as well, like a early winter morning or something like that. Then you have the dark foreground which is contrasting the bright background. So yeah, there's a nice bit of contrast in the scene as well, and I also edited it in black and white just to emphasize on the contrast in the scene and create an even more moody feeling. So yeah, then you have the tree and the lamppost both showcasing scale in the scene, just so when you look at the image you can get an idea of the scale of what's in the scene. So basically when I say scale, I mean you get a gist of the size of things in the scene. And then also in the red circle, you have the two cyclists going away from me, the photographer. So yeah, it just makes them look like they're going into the abyss, going into the unknown. So yeah, it gives it that nice moody feeling, like they're cycling away into the unknown, like it's foggy, you can't see where they're going, but they're going somewhere. So it looks like they, taken a leap of faith. Is that a good way to explain it? But yeah, so, and also the path that they're riding on is also a leading line as well. So yeah, this is one of my favorite photos and I love it so much. And here is one of my other favorite images. This was taken in Korea, in Seoul, on the Sony a7 IV with my Samyang 18mm lens. So why this image works is because you have the roofing in the palace, and that acts as a natural frame in the image. It nicely frames the palace in the middle of the photo, and that is obviously the main subject. It is big and prominent and it looks amazing, and it's being nicely framed by the roofing that is, at the edges of the frame. So yeah, and also you have the two people wearing hanboks right next to the palace, and they're there to show scale. And yeah, it really shows like how huge the palace is. Like they look so small compared to the palace, and yeah, it is, I think, one of my best photos ever. I think it's really well put together and it just looks amazing. I need to get this photo printed, but yeah. So I took this image on Remembrance Sunday. I took it on the Ricoh, and why this image works is because of repetition. Now you have the guy at the front covering his eyes, shading his eyes from the sun, because obviously the sun is very harsh and very bright and dangerous to look at, of course. And there is a woman behind him doing the exact same thing. So a repetition, it looks pleasing, it is nice to look at, and yeah, that is why this image works well, in my opinion. So if you're ever out taking photos and you see repetition or two things looking similar, definitely take a photo, experiment, and it will look really good. Trust me on that. So this is an image I took in Korea. I took it in Seoul, and why it works is because I'm framing the subject with a frame in the picture. So why does that make it work? Why does it make it look good? Now, the frame in the image, which is in this case a window, makes it easier for the viewer to understand what to look at. If I, for instance, just took a normal cityscape, then cityscapes are normally very busy, but in this case, because I'm framing it with the window, it cuts out a lot of the noise and makes it easier for the viewer to understand what is the main portion of the image. And it also adds context, right? Because I'm shooting through a window, the viewer can see, oh, I'm shooting it from a house, a hotel maybe. It gives the image more context, which is very important in photos sometimes. Because, sometimes you don't want the viewer to be guessing and overthinking too much. Sometimes you want the viewer to know what's going on. But sometimes mystery in photos are good. I'll get back to that later. And this image I took in Korea once again. I took it in Busan with the Sony a7 IV, and I love this image so much. I need to get this one printed as well. But anyways, so you have the couple wearing matching clothes, which is quite nice in this image. So, you know, it's very pleasing to look at. They're wearing matching clothes, and they're on the bottom third of the image in the center. So they're very nicely portioned, very nicely placed in the image. So there we go. And obviously they're watching over the cityscape, the vast cityscape of Busan. Busan's a big city, and yeah, this place is a very nice viewpoint of the city. And obviously, since they're both sitting down in the bottom third of the image in the center, they're wearing matching clothes and they're watching over the cityscape. It just looks very nice to look at. And obviously you have the two top thirds of the image, and that in this case can symbolize the couple's thoughts, what they're thinking about, you know, what they're talking about in the moment. And yeah, I just really like this image. I just literally had to change batteries, and I realized that all my batteries are all dead. So currently charging a battery right behind me. So let's get on with this. So this image I took in Busan in Korea. And why does it work? Well, we have the leading lines from the rails pointing towards the two guys in the scene. And then you have the one guy pointing to something outside of the scene. Now, why does this work? Well, it is creating a sense of mystery. Why? Because he's pointing to something that's outside of the scene. You don't know what it is, but it's something that has piqued his interest. So it must be something that is, you know, just something out of the ordinary that he's pointing to it. So it is up to the viewer to think, you know, what is he pointing at? Why is it so interesting to him? They can create their own story. And in this sense, mystery in photos are good. So I would say use mystery in photos to not only create photos that look good, but also tell a good story, because it is totally up to the viewer to make up their own story on what he's pointing at. Maybe it's a weird looking house, maybe it's a boat that's broken, maybe, you know, maybe it's a cute dog. Who knows? It could be literally anything. So yeah, use mystery in your photos to make them interesting, to make them work well. So this photo I took in Paris on the Sony a7 IV, and why does it work well? Well, there are two people that are framing the Eiffel Tower. So that cuts out a lot of the visual noise that would otherwise distract you from looking at what is important in the scene, which is the Eiffel Tower. Now, it also creates some sense of depth as well. You know, they are out of focus, they are dark, so you can't see them, you don't know what they look like. So yeah, it also creates a little bit of mystery in the scene as well. And obviously, with them being on either side of the Eiffel Tower, creates a sort of triangle which nicely frames the Eiffel Tower, which looks good. And obviously the main subject in the scene, the Eiffel Tower, looking amazing as always. So yeah, definitely use people to frame your subjects. Just look for different ways to frame your subject in your scenes. Don't always just take, you know, bang on straight on photos, because everyone takes them if your phone, like, it just looks like a phone shot. But shots like these really elevate them, make them look better. So yeah, definitely frame your subjects in, you know, creative ways. You know, we're all creatives, let's try to push boundaries and yeah, make your photos look amazing. So yeah, thank you for watching the video, and see you in the next one.